guys, it's your girl Sophina, the diva, back here again. Welcome back to my channel. Okay guys, so this is some serious talk. I'm sorry for you men that are listening to this. You know, I think this is an important situation because I know, let me actually tell you what this is about. As you could probably read from the title, we're gonna talk about the period myths. Just, you know, talk about period talk. We're talking about the periods. Honestly guys, this is a subject that I absolutely hated talking about. Now I'm a bit better talking about this situation. Let me tell you my story and then we're gonna get into these myths. Actually, you know what? Let's get into these myths and then I'm gonna tell you my story, because if I tell you my story, then my myths will come out through the story. So anyway, so when starting your period, when being on your period, all that stuff, some things are myths and some things are not. The more I say myths, the more myths sounds wrong to say. So we're gonna talk about the myths of periods, starting your periods, and all that stuff. There's just a few things. So we're gonna start off with talking about the myths on, how do I say this? The myths on before you start your period, like why you start your period, okay? So we're gonna go through the first myth. Number one, soy product. People say that when you eat more soy products, then you start your period. Now, yes, soy has more of that like estrogen type of, is it estrogen? Something in it that is more female based to, you know, enhance that type of your situation. But it is a myth if you keep drinking a lot of soy or eating a lot of soy that you're gonna just start your period. So let's see how that panned out. Okay. Ooh. Second one is weight gain. This one is a myth, but it's not a myth. I feel like a lot of these are like semi-myths, but there's some truth to it, you know? So people say that when you gain weight or something like that, like you start your period. Now, in a sense, it's kind of true. Like there's a lot of gymnasts that start their period way later. I was one of those. I started way later, way later. And that's because gymnastics, you know, it kind of stunts your growth, therefore it stunts your process to go through puberty. That is one of the aspects of puberty, starting your period. So that is one thing, is like, you know, gaining weight makes you start your period. All right, time to get on the scale. Da, 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 da. Now, those two things are the main things that make you start your period. Now we're gonna get into the things that people say while you're on your period. So one thing is that people always say that, you know, when you're around a whole bunch of girls or a girl that's on their period, then you kind of all like connect together. Now, this one is actually a myth because I was researching one time and it's actually a fact that it's not true, but I think it's true and everybody else that I know thinks this is true as well, because anytime like someone's around me or we just like end up syncing together like our cycle. So I think that myth is actually a truth, but I don't know.
I started my period.
What? You're on your period? Oh no, stay away, stay away, stay away. No! And the last thing is, which is really funny. So if you guys are on your time, you always feel like you're gross and ugly and bloated and just everything. You just feel blah. But did you know, this isn't a myth actually, I thought it was, but it's like, it's a real thing. Did you know that when you are on your time, you're actually more attractive to men or to people? Like, it's really crazy. And I've actually noticed, like, whenever I'm on my time and I go out places and I feel gross, I always get like more compliments than when I'm not on my time. And I'm like, poppin' when I don't feel poppin'. I feel so gross and bloated and ugly and disgusting.
Hey, beautiful.
Hi. Thanks. So that's another myth. Okay, so those are all the myths and the facts that were in my mind that I felt like I really want to talk about because this pertained to my period talk story. So let's get into my story. Okay, so my period talk story. So it all started when I was in high school and I was like, I had always had this fear of starting my period. I don't know, big fear. Like I never want to start my period, like ever. And I would just avoid everything that was period related. Someone told me that, you know, soy is something that makes you start your period. So I would not eat anything soy. No soy milk, no soy products, nothing had soy. I cannot do it. No soy whatsoever. Like, no. You try to, no. no soy, okay? And then another thing is like people said, you know, if you gain weight, I was told that if I reached like, I don't know, let's just say it was like 100 pounds. If I got to 100 pounds, then I would start my period. So then I would make sure that I wasn't at that weight so that I wouldn't start my period. I was a very healthy person during that time, so it was okay, but mentally that was unhealthy to think like I can't reach a certain weight because I'm gonna start my period. And it was just really annoying. Like, it wasn't my family that told me any of these things, but it was just like other people. We won't get into that. So my story is, okay, so then I tried to avoid all that, but then it went to where I fractured my back. And so I had to stop gymnastics for quite some time. So during that time, my body wasn't, you know, doing all the pounding of gymnastics and any of that. So it was deciding to catch up to regular womanhood. So I started catching up to regular womanhood. And then one day at school, I went to school and I was in class. I went to the bathroom and I was like, this is interesting. Then, you know, the day went on and then I went to the bathroom again and I was like, I think this is my time. I didn't want to come to realization that this was my time. The day went on, mom picked me up from school. She goes, how was school? And I go, I start bawling my eyes out. Bawling, like you don't even understand. I was like semi-hyperventilating because I was starting my period. I'm like about to tear up because it was just, this memory is so vivid in my head. So she was like trying to calm me down. Honey, calm down. It's okay. This is a good thing. I was like, no, it's not a good thing. This is terrible. It means I'm fat. It means that like all this stuff like just went out into my memory. Like I just was like pouring everything out. She's like, no, this doesn't mean that, okay? Another thing is, it's good. She's like, I was getting worried that you weren't going to start because that's an important part of womanhood, you know, because then later on in life, then you will be able to have your children. And then that kind of calmed me down because I knew like I love kids, I love babies, I love everybody. I'm a big people person, so I know that in the future I really want a family of my own. So then that kind of calmed me down. I was like, oh yeah, I guess if I don't have my period, then I won't be able to have a family in the future. So that kind of like, you know, settled me down. But I didn't want anybody to think or know that I had my period. So I like tried to do everything for people not to know that I had my period. Especially nowadays, there's all these different types of situations that you could do for your period. You know, there's tampons, there's pads, there's cups. I have yet to try the cup situation, but I know apparently that one is the healthiest way. So I don't want to hear anything about tampons being bad, okay? Just let me say my story, okay? You know, I didn't know how to do a tampon. No one does when they first start. It's a tricky situation. This is making me uncomfortable. I hope I'm not making anybody else uncomfortable. Okay, anywho, so I, you know, had to use the pads and everybody in my group in practice had already started their period, and so I was the last one to ever start, and I didn't want them to know because I just didn't. Like, that's my business, and I don't want you to think that I'm in your period clique. I don't know, my brain was weird, okay? I was one that in practice, I never wore shorts. I just wore the leotard, and everyone else wore shorts. But I had to wear freaking shorts because I couldn't do the tampon and I need to put a pad on. And it was just a big catastrophe, So whatever, I did that. And after a while, people caught on and I was really annoyed. They're like, oh, did you start? And I'm like, no, I didn't, no. And then the cat was out the bag. I think that's the metaphor, right? Cat at the bag. And I started. So that is pretty much my period starting situation. Another thing is that as I started getting my period more often, my stomach would hurt, which is called cramps. And I didn't want to be on the same wavelength of other people having cramps. So I would say like, oh, my stomach hurts. And then like mom or sister or someone would be like, oh, you have cramps? I'm like, no, I don't have cramps. No, I don't have cramps, okay? My stomach is just upset because I'm lactose and I had milk, or I don't know. I literally was the most ever starting my period. Now I'm cool, you know, I'm calm, cool, and collected, but that was the situation. But I just want to let you guys all know who have started, who have not started, don't fear this. It's, you know, it's the way of life. You have to go through this. I was gonna say it's a beautiful thing, but that sounds weird, but it really is. You know, if you think of it in the future aspect, even though maybe some of you guys aren't really thinking in that broad sense, but it's good that you got to go through this. You know, it is a struggle being a woman sometimes, being a girl, a female, you know, all that stuff, because, you know, guys don't have to go through this. None of this pain, none of the pain of having the period or the hassle of all that, the pain of childbirth with, you know, that has to happen. But apparently, guys, fun fact or weird fact, apparently I read somewhere that apparently, actually no, I don't really want to scare you guys. Should I say this? Okay, just take this with a grain of salt. Just grain of salt, okay? It didn't scare me because I still want 5 children in my future. And I'm having twins. People think I'm crazy. But apparently that there was something that I read and it said that apparently, I've said apparently a million times, apparently, that giving childbirth with like none of that, the shots and epidurals and stuff like that, is the second most painful thing in life. And apparently the first one is burning alive, which I don't know how they test this. So that's why I said, take it with a grain of salt. All right, but that is my story. Okay guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you liked it. I hope it wasn't too long for y'all. I just wanted to tell y'all my story and, you know, just kind of give you some light on it. You know, it's really, a lot of things are missed, okay? Just know that soy products isn't just gonna magically make you do it. It is okay. It is okay to go through this process. So don't try to avoid it. It'll come when it's ready and you'll almost just broke my camera because it just fell. But yeah, ride the wave. It's a-okay if you are nervous about this situation. Just know, can't get any crazier than Sophina doing the most. Anyway guys, I love you so much. Please make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, comment below, you know, maybe your experience starting or maybe what you're nervous about before you start or any other questions. I mean, if you men that did watch this do have some questions, I'll try and answer them. I used to be one that didn't want to talk about periods either, like ever. Like, do not talk to me about periods. Even though I have started or I haven't started or whatever, do not talk to me about periods. But now, you know, it's way of life. I'm good to go. Now, follow me on Instagram at Sofina.diva and on Twitter at Sofina_de Jesus. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.